I remember I had this boyfriend who I was utterly besotted by. In my duckling diaries, let's go back a little bit, and I would send him so many text messages, but I preferred to send voice notes. So I would send him voice notes during the day and he wouldn't respond. What he would do is call me every day at the same time, and I was going crazy. I didn't know why he chose to completely leave all my voice notes on green and just call at the end of the day. Now, what this man was really doing was trying to manage his own energy. Here I was sending 3-4 voice notes during the day. He was busy working. So in his head, I will call her in the evening and she can tell me everything she needs to tell me, instead of me kind of stopping my day in between to listen to these voice notes. At the time, I had no idea that I was actually chasing him. How many of us have sent text messages, paragraphs, all the things to a man and he doesn't respond? I was so hurt and was so wounded. I was so hurt and so wounded that that relationship ended up ending because I was just losing my mind over this feeling that I was being ignored. And I was just overthinking the whole thing. I was over communicating, over texting. How many of us have felt this way or made this mistake or are making this mistake right now and don't understand why we are doing that? Why am I doing this? Why am I chasing this man? Chasing for women is different from chasing for men. Chasing for men is spoiling, doing all these things, asking for dates, usually for a woman who's not that interested, because when a man pursues a woman, it's usually because she's interested. But you know, she's out here chasing a man. We do that by over communicating. We chase a man by overreaching, filling in the gaps, making sure that there's always this false sense of closeness. This is what we do when we're chasing, but we don't even realize that we're chasing this man's attention and we want it so badly, and now he feels chased, he feels in the feminine, he feels overwhelmed, and this is never ever going to be a good thing. But why do we do it? I want us to understand why we feel so compelled to do it. This is usually because of an abandonment wound. If you were abandoned as a child, whether by a parent that left or a parent that was busy working all the time or somebody that walked out of your life, you are going to have a need for closeness. You are going to assume that perpetual closeness is going to give you a degree of control over the situation. If you can keep this person's attention, if you can keep proximity to this person, then you are going to be in a perfect position to stay close to them. You are going to feel capable of staying close to them, and as a result, you are going to continue to want to fill the gap. Any distance to somebody who was abandoned as a child is always going to feel like a threat to the nervous system. It's going to feel unsafe, and so you are going to reach out. But what is it that's really driving all of these things? What is making us having to over-explain ourselves in a long paragraph, an essay, a dissertation? Why can we not just give short and brief answers? Because we're afraid that if we don't explain ourselves, if we don't really explain ourselves, they're not going to understand us, because the need of the abandoned child is to be truly understood. And so our minds tell us, our trauma tells us, our adaptation to trauma tells us that, listen, if the reason why he is not paying attention to you, the reason he is not giving you the attention and closeness that you need, is because he's not quite understanding you. All you have to do is keep at it and show him in different ways and use many words and really break down what it is that you want. I want you to know that you are being understood, and the man is giving you what he can and what he will. It may be all he can give you, it might be all he wants to give you, but he doesn't need you to explain yourself. He doesn't need you to explain why you're so hurt, why it's so hard for you, why his distance is causing you so much pain. When you do all of that, you are actually letting him know that you have a wound and he is the medicine, and nobody finds that sexy. Nobody wants to be the balm. Nobody wants to be the one that heals what somebody else broke. This is going to be too much for his nervous system to handle. We don't need to have long explanations explaining exactly how we feel, because the more words you use, the less a man hears you anyway. But we are doing that because we have a belief system, an unconscious belief system, that if we really break it down to the smallest common denominator, we will be understood. And anybody who is a communication expert will let you know that we are never understood because we multiply the words, because we over explain, We are understood by people who want to understand us. It doesn't matter how many words you use or how small you make it. If somebody does not want to understand you, if somebody wants to misunderstand you, misinterpret you, they will absolutely do it. That ex-boyfriend of mine did not want to hear about the things that concerned me. He didn't want to attend to my little messages. He just wanted to be present in a way that suited him. You see, the thing is, in those little messages, there were very important pieces of information that I needed him to know. By the time he called me at the end of the night, I was just so happy to hear his voice. I would forget to reiterate those pieces of information to him, and I would think, well, he will listen to the voice note. But in his mind, if it was that important, he should have told me at the end of the evening. There was a mismatch in our communication style. But if he really truly cared about me, he would have listened to all my voice notes before calling or after calling or at some point. He would have never left them green for the whole month. Yes, the whole month there were like a list of green messages, because we know they turn blue on WhatsApp when they've been heard, where he just didn't even bother. If somebody wants to know you, they want to understand you, even when you use one sentence or two words, he will understand you. Baby, he doesn't want to. Number two, when we are overthinking the relationship, overthinking the connection, what we're really saying is we're operating from a fundamental unconscious belief that if I can think my way to a different outcome, I can see the interest that this man has, I can see the way that he's moving, but if I really think about it, I can change the outcome. Overthinkers don't overthink because they are trying to understand the situation. Overthinkers overthink because they believe in their hearts that the outcome could be different. They overthink their actions because they think, if I do it this way, then the outcome will be different. But the outcome cannot be changed by overthinking. It is a degree of arrogance, because I am just as guilty of being an overthinker, and I'm a healing and recovering overthinker, thinking that if I just really think about this thing from every angle, I'm going to change the outcome. Doesn't matter how much I overthink this video. Those of you who want to understand me, who want to get value out of this video, will get it. And I can think about it in 10,000 different ways, but those who want what I'm trying to communicate will get it. That's just the truth about life. And so overthinking is an unconscious belief that the outcome could be different. You can overthink as much as you like. If a man doesn't want you, he doesn't want you. If he doesn't like you, he doesn't like you. It doesn't matter how much you overthink. It doesn't matter which way you think about it. Thirdly, why do we overtext? It's because often it's anxiety. Anxiety pushes us to keep the gaps full. We want to keep the gaps full. For me, sending those voice notes during the day was a way of asking for connection. I wanted some connection during the day. I didn't want to wait until the nighttime to hear from him. I was seeking connection, but I thought that connection came when I overcame the gaps, when I filled the gaps myself. I'm going to fill the gap instead of letting the gap sit. Because if you let the gap sit, especially with a man who is masculine, he is going to want to fill it. It is his nature to want to fill gaps. But instead, I was rationalizing, and this is another unconscious thought. Don't ever let there be vacuums, because vacuums mean you're being abandoned. Vacuums mean you're being left behind, when in fact vacuums are an opportunity for breathing. We can breathe and let the relationship breathe. It's a bit like cooking, baking. Sometimes you gotta let the cake breathe. You gotta let the heat come out so that the meal can be cooked properly and can set. We need to allow ourselves to breathe. We need to let the anxiety out of our body and realize that anxiety has never equaled closeness. Anxiety has never equaled connection. And I know that we've never really thought about how our anxiety affects the way we're relating to everybody around us. But we have to sit down and realize, I am being anxious right now. And anxiety will never equal closeness. Anxiety will never foster connection. All anxiety can do is frustrate the connection, is to communicate anxiety. Anxiety can only communicate itself. It can only frustrate everything that it's doing. And so it's super important for us to have a handle on how we feel and the anxiety that we allow through our bodies, and understand that we don't have to be a slave to anxiety. We could literally be in charge and on top of it. How do we do that? We ask ourselves some simple questions. Is certainty being offered? Is this man offering certainty? Is this relationship providing certainty? If so, how? Because you see, when my ex-boyfriend was calling, he was providing certainty. He was saying, hey boo, I can and will call you every single day. This is something you can be certain about. Of course, he was failing on the other hand of ignoring and not communicating. Baby, you don't need to leave me any voice notes because I'm going to call you every night and you can fill me in. But I can say that there was a degree of certainty in the relationship. I just didn't see it because I was allowing myself to be more anxious than not. Are there cues of certainty? Does this man provide certainty? Is this man keeping to patterns? Is he reliable? Is he pacing the relationship? Is he giving the relationship a destination? If there is that certainty, then rest in that certainty. If he's not providing certainty, then we have a different set of issues. But reaching out, overthinking, overdoing, and chasing is not going to address that. We have to look at the issues that we have in the relationship and asking for our needs to be met. I didn't know to ask for my needs to be met. And so many of us don't even know what our needs are because anxiety is such a loud voice. Lastly but not least, am I owed certainty? Am I at the stage of the relationship where I'm owed certainty? Am I at the stage in the relationship where I can expect it? Because often when we are anxious, we ask for certainty from a relationship that is only starting, from a dating dynamic that is not yet set in stone. You cannot expect certainty from a man you've just met or a man you're just dating who has not yet made a commitment to you. So, are you owed this certainty? You got to be able to answer that question. Are you in an exclusive relationship? Are you engaged? Are you married? Is this a certainty that is owed to you? If the answer is no, then chill, relax. You don't owe him certainty. He doesn't owe you certainty. And you can work out those issues of anxiety and realize that you are not being abandoned. You are just participating in a casual relationship and hopefully not overgiving yourself, not being too intimate with somebody who hasn't made a commitment with you, or sexually intimate with a man who hasn't made that certainty ready for you. This is what we need to ascertain. If we're owed it, yay, let's ask for our needs to be met. If we're not owed it, let's understand that this is the nature of the relationship. Because ladies, we know that if we do not stop, if we continue to chase, he will continue to run. And we're going to continue to sabotage our relationships, find ourselves at an age or a space where we're so angry and bitter because we were never truly chosen, not realizing that we were the actual reason why we were not chosen, because we kept running men away because we wouldn't manage our anxiety. The most powerful thing a woman can do is manage her anxiety, heal the stories, the wounds that create that anxiety. You have to learn to be calm. You have to learn to be grounded in the truth of your worth, of the truth of your value. And this is the most important work you will ever do, because so many of us go around saying all these men are full of crap, but none of us actually sit there and ask ourselves, do I show up in such a high value way that a man has no choice but to choose me, and I am the one who actually has to be figuring out, do I want to choose him back? Some of us never really ask ourselves that question, because the moment we come close to being chosen, wanted, seen, and we get a bit of attention, we put so much weight and heaviness on that moment that we actually miss the most important thing that we should be paying attention to. I hope that this video has helped you understand why you keep chasing, and I look forward to seeing you in my next one. In the meantime, do take care of you. Love you lots. Bye.